I grew up in a small farming community north of Fargo, North Dakota. Even though we didn't have aviation courses in our small high school, I took a correspondence course from the state which dealt with aviation. Flight school is divided into two sessions, primary and advanced. I was fortunate in not going directly to Vietnam, which most of the helicopter pilots did. I was instead transferred to Fort Carson, Colorado, using mountain training as an avenue for getting used to the mountainous terrain of Vietnam, which was upcoming. We went out to Vietnam en masse and arrived there in 1969. I was very young. I was only 20 years old, flying troops mainly. However, we also were involved in what we call CCN missions, which was flying the Green Beret in and out of somewhat treacherous type of combat operations. My particular unit was involved in the 1969 assault into the Ashaw Valley, and we were also involved in May of 1969 the insertion of U.S. troops into Hamburger Hill, which is one of the more televised combats in Vietnam. As we used to say, young and bulletproof, but of course we weren't, and I lost a number of close friends in Vietnam. It was a job. We had things to do. We, on occasion, had assaults that would render some of our aircraft and our crew injury. I myself received numerous rounds in my aircraft. I was forced to land the aircraft 3 times because of either small arms or 50 cal intrusion into the aircraft. Coming back, it was difficult because we had been, in combat, young people, and we come back to a country that maybe didn't appreciate very much. I landed to Travis Air Base in California, and we were bused to the commercial airport so we could fly home. Well, that bus became the target for flying vegetables that people threw at the bus, which unpleasant. When I came back from Vietnam, I still had a commitment to the U.S. Army active duty, and so I was asked to go down to Fort Walters, Texas as an instructor pilot in the primary helicopter school. After I got out of the active duty Army in December of '70, I went through the University of North Dakota's aviation program and received a bachelor's degree in aviation. While I was going to school, when I started my career with National Guard, initially in North Dakota and then other states as I spent more time. The interesting part about the National Guard is that they do more things for the states as well as for the national security. The National Guard afforded me the opportunity to learn how and fly medevac aircraft, fly wildfire suppression. So there was a variety of missions, all of which I felt I was doing something important, either from my state or for the country. It was in 2006. I'd gotten a call from a gentleman who was in Washington, D.C., who had been part of our organization, and he said that the 10th Mountain, which was a division that was up in the northeast United States, was going over to Afghanistan. They needed some seasoned pilots to join them. And this young pilot who was in Washington, D.C. said, "Would you be interested in volunteering to go with the 10th Mountain?" At the time, I was a 56-year-old grandfather. Afghanistan's an interesting country because it has desert, it has farmland, and it has mountains. At the time, I was flying Chinook helicopters, which are very powerful aircraft. But even they got affected when you got up to 10,000 feet or above. It was a very challenging, next to wildfire fighting, probably the most challenging flying I've ever done in my life. It was a totally different environment from a combat intensity. I went through my time in Afghanistan and can count on maybe one hand the number of times I received fire. I mean, it happened, but not nearly as regularly as it was in Vietnam. The last 3 years of my time with the Washington Guard, I was selected to be their first, actually, Command Chief Warrant Officer, which is a W-5 position that is the pinnacle of my career. It's hard to say that one central career path was going to be your whole life. But in my case, even starting in my teenage years and going until I was almost 63 years old, flying and being involved in aviation, whether it be civilian aviation with Northwest Airlines or military, I don't think there's anything else I would have rather done. After 44 years, I guess I might probably fill that cup up and drinking from a different cup now.